Hello, hello. Hope everyone's okay. Thanks for coming along. Welcome to Monday Night Live. I haven't got very many coins to look at tonight. One of the reasons that I think that is, and I'm just going to fix the sound 1 second. One of the reasons I think that is, when Bitcoin tends to make a move, then there's always a few coins that are tracking it, and they're usually like the big majors, or the old school. So with this Bitcoin move, we've got Ethereum tracking it, Litecoin. In fact, Litecoin very often tends to lead the Bitcoin cashes, and then the big old school coins like Dash has been a little bit, Neo, maybe Monero as well. And so what tends to happen, although Monero not so much, they're not outperforming Bitcoin, except maybe Ethereum is trying to. And then what happens is, as Bitcoin continues to rally and turns the trend and it slows down, then the smaller altcoins, kind of the love spreads out, and people will take their money out of Bitcoin into something that looks like more likely that it's about to go up and outperform Bitcoin. And that's how we see it. So yeah, I'm going to start with Bitcoin tonight because I've got a lot of questions from people in my group. Can I change my background color? For not right now, no, it would take too long and there's too many people watching, but I might look at changing my background color on another week. Maybe you could turn the brightness down on your screen. Okay, so when we look at this, if we look at this as a falling wedge, any way you look at it, we've had a really nice breakout. If we look at it on a weekly chart, we are supported by all of our weekly moving averages, and we are in a weekly uptrend. So this is a very nice move. We're not going to confirm that on this weekly chart that we've really turned it around until we go beyond really 10,000 and these previous highs. But at the moment, it all looks pretty good, doesn't it, for a bottom? If we put some fibs on and look for some fib patterns to help us with what's going on, you can see we've reversed from a 61.8 fib level. When you do that, if you break the 50%, so the one that you just broke underneath, if you like, if you can get above that 50% level, which was my bull bear line, then you should go to the 38.2 next. So that gives us a target of 9,770 Bitstamp prices. I'm using Bitstamp at the moment because it has the biggest history, not the biggest volume. Okay, so we're looking for 9,770, and the thing is with 61.8 and 38.2 fib levels is they're very messy, so the market tends to overshoot them either sides, whereas a 786 or a 236 fib levels are very often quite sharp. Neil, I'm laughing. No, we're not going to have hot pink either. In fact, I don't think Trading for You do hot pink. Okay, so I'm going to say that all the time we stay above this 8,500 level now, we're going to stay bullish. People have said to me, if we stop going up here, or if we fail to get above this daily 200 moving average that we're testing right now, where would I look for on the downside? Well, that's quite a good question, because we might not get above this 200 moving average. Okay, so if we did that, let's look at where we might go. And I'm going to do, it may be, I think that these kind of corrections, this correction that we've just done, looks pretty similar to this correction we did here in terms of size and scale. And so for me, this looks quite reasonable for the uptrend to continue, but sometimes they don't, they go out of whack. It may be that this was the first leg in a bigger ABC correction, and we've completed a bigger thing, in which case we would see an ABC pattern like that. So in that case, if we stopped going up here and we turned lower, let's go down to a 4 hour. The first place I would look for would be an equal measured move going down and the 200 moving average, which are on the 4 hour chart, which is 8,000. And that's also big round number 8,000, which the market tends to like big round numbers. So yeah, if we stopped going up here and if we fell back below 8,300, I think 8,000, if we had a reversal here, that's a sharp reversal here, that's what I'd be looking for. If what would be a reversal for me would be below the 236 fib of this entire rally. So if I zoom in, we can say that if we drop below 8,800, we are probably in a bigger correction. We're going to either retest the lows and potentially big round number 8,000. I have to say I'm not feeling it, but that's what the first place I would look for. Now, for the people looking for a bigger swing lower, because remember, you know, on any chart, the 200 moving average is the determinant of trend really on the 200 day. And so you can see here it was resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance when we tried it 2 weeks ago. So, you know, it is important. And if we fail here, we technically on the daily really aren't back in an uptrend. And we could see a whole nother big leg lower in this channel. And if we drew this as a channel, okay, then we would be looking, it would mean we haven't really broken out, and we're still, you know, we've just got to widen our channel. It's not going to be, you know, the declining wedge we thought it was, but it might be more like a, you know, parallel channel or something like this, you know. I suppose if we start at these highs, you know, maybe. Anyway, if we did another leg lower here and it was a false breakout of our declining wedge, where would we go? Well, because we're relying on these fibs from this low, okay, and we bounced from a 61.8, I would say that if we drop back below 8,500, we could retest this 61.8 level, and back below 7,200, we will see that 5,400 level. But again, our moving averages are bunched up, going sideways. That gives us kind of a trading range. And so we really would have to break and hold underneath 7,200 for me to see that now. I kind of, yeah, I'm not really feeling it, I'm afraid. But, you know, if we reverse here, if the trend reverses, we take out the previous low, then I'm open to it. That's where I would be looking, but we'll see. So important 200 moving average, and we're right at it now. Let's mark it on our chart. And then I'm going to go back to my Deribit chart, I think. So let's mark it on our chart and recap what would look like a bearish reversal from here. So from this whole rally that we started over the weekend, back below 8,800 would be a reversal, wouldn't it? And if not, we're just looking for a shallow pullback and then a push above our 200 moving average. Okay, we're a little bit stretched with these 4-hour moving averages. I wouldn't be surprised to see some profit taking here because it is the big 200 moving average. But otherwise, I think we're headed higher. Now, Neil brought up the Bitcoin futures chart at CME because this is a new month. The contract expired on Friday. This is a new month of Bitcoin futures at CME, and their chart's completely different. In that chart, we're holding above the 200 moving average. We're back above it now today. We're solidly back above this. We're solidly back above this 200 moving average. From the lows, we only pull back to the 236 fib and the daily 20 moving average, and here we go up again. In fact, if we look at daily closing prices, if we were to close here, this would be a new closing high, really, for Bitcoin, and this is really a very bullish look. So if you're looking at a futures chart, there's loads to like about this that says we are going higher, and 9,900 is the 38.2 fib level that I think we're going to overshoot in the CME. So loads of volume. That's normal at the start of a new contract. So I wouldn't read too much more into it than that. But this chart is pretty bullish. So if we look at finally, we'll just look at the Deribit chart, which is conglomerate. I look at this chart because it's 5 different exchanges and they put their input prices, and we can see again here, we're right on this 200 moving average. The market loves to trick people. It would be we might very often see, we'll close here, and then in the wee hours when least people are looking at it, it will go. But my view is that we're looking really strong. We have every chance of getting above this 200 moving average. If you wanted to buy some, then I would wait until we get above and buy pullbacks. So if we mark where this 200 moving average is, which is kind of right here, the price is 8,919. So just here, I'm going to do it on a lower time frame. So what did we say? 8919, didn't we? 891. So there it is. We're just above it. So if we can creep a little bit higher here and then pullbacks towards this level, or just, you know, some consolidation, sideways trading, and then carry on higher, that's what I'd look at. But I'd have that level marked, and I'd be watching quite closely lower time frames. What we're doing, even though we're stretched, doesn't mean we can't be more stretched. So that's Bitcoin. I'm still feeling bullish. I think if we can get above this 200-day moving average, we will go and say hi to 10,000 next. And then there, I think we will definitely see some profit taking. It's a big level. It's a 38.2 fib. If I put my retrace levels on from high to low here as well. So some people have said, well, how do I count this downtrend? I think that this is one of those funky combinations. So we've gone A, B, C down. So this is A leg, B leg, and then this was our C leg. And within this C leg, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. And we draw our declining wedge like this. Now, our Elliott wave isn't my first love. So I'm sure some people will tell you, but that's how I'm counting it. And that's why I don't think we'll go down and see another leg. But some people might say, well, what if this is A and this is B, and we count it from here? Okay, then we would still, you know, we haven't really broken out. Look, we're at the top, and maybe we'd need another leg. And in that case, yeah, we could. You know, that's the thing with Elliott wave. There's always an alternate count. So I think any way we count this, that we're on the verge of breaking out here, and above the 200 moving average would seal it for me. And then, you know, in Bitcoin, on every time frame, so on the weekly, let's take a look at our monthly, and well, we haven't got the monthly, but on the monthly, on the weekly, and on the daily chart of all the higher time frame, we are above all of our moving averages. That, in terms of trend following, that counts as an uptrend on every time frame. So we're looking good, you know. We might get knocked back at 10,000, and at 10,000 we might come all the way back to 8,500, but it would be a big buying opportunity if we do. We might not come back that far. We might just come back and retest this 200-day moving average. I would prefer to see that. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit bullish unless it proves me otherwise. Let's talk about Ethereum, because Ethereum and Litecoin sometimes go first. So in Ethereum, we're not back to the 200 moving average yet, but we are seeing really nice, strong moves. And what I like about this is we've got a really clear line. You know, this 236 fib from the highs, in terms of Fibonacci, that's your bull bear line. So from this high to this low, the 236 fib is what we couldn't get above before. If we get above 174.3 and this 200 moving average, then we are back in an uptrend in Ethereum, US dollar as well. And if we take a look at the weekly chart, we have a little hiccup of this 50 moving average, but we haven't respected it that well before. I'm going to go with the fibs and the daily 200 moving average in this instance. So looking good in ETH US dollar as well, but resistance a little bit further up. And what I really like about ETH at the moment, if we take a look at ETH against Bitcoin, because ETH against Bitcoin is quite interesting, because we've got quite a similar setup here. I think we've made an ABC correction. Hopefully we have. And, you know, we're bunched up underneath the 200 moving average. We're not doing so well today with Bitcoin having such a strong move. But as soon as Bitcoin takes a little breather, if we can break out of this and see another swing higher in ETH, Bitcoin, that would be a sign that the alts are on their way. So if you're waiting and thinking, well, when do I get out of Bitcoin and move into some alts? I think that ETH Bitcoin above this 200 moving average, which at the moment is 0.019814, above that 200 moving average, that would be when I would be mostly out of Bitcoin and in alts and looking for a big rally. And you know, in this chart, if we go to the weekly chart, because this is like a proxy for alt season, if you like. When Bitcoin goes down, then alts get completely mullered, and they look pretty similar. So a bounce in this would be a pretty nice bounce in altcoins, and still in a solid downtrend though when we look at this. So where's our target going to be? I really think back to these lows, and what would be interesting is if this is the low here, if we just make a big ABC equal measured move, that takes us back to this previous low. So the target would be on a breakout above the 200-day moving average. The target would be 24,024 for Bitcoin. So I'm not going to go heavy into alts until I see that happen. Until then, I'm just sticking with the major coins that look like they're outperforming Bitcoin. And there are a few of them. There are some really nice ones. So let's take a look. First of all, the Bitcoin Cash Litecoin has been a really good leading indicator. But in this case, we're not leading Bitcoin. We are still well underneath the 200 moving average on a Litecoin US dollar. I'm looking at Bitstamp, but if we go to Coinbase, which I think has more volume, you can see we're still not yet back above that 200-day moving average. But I want to talk about fib patterns here, because in terms of fib moves and fib targets, if we go again from the lows in December 2018 to the highs in June 2019, we reversed at an 886 fib level. When you do that, if you get back above the 786, in other words, you reverse the fib downtrend, your target is always the 50%, and this is a really reliable setup and a target. So if we get back above this 200 moving average in Litecoin, which at the moment is 62.46, then our target is 84.14. So that's a really nice trade as well. I think we look really strong, but you know, until we actually get through it, we're not through it. So far so good. What could happen here? You know, we can see from this, moves are never in a straight line, but a good indicator that we're making an impulsive move of 5 waves is when the third wave is 1.618 or 2.618 of the first wave. So if we look at this rally off the lows, that's where we are now in Litecoin. So if we think this is a third wave and we might be pulling back here, the most common retrace of a third wave is the 38.2 fib. So that would be us back to about 56.73 here. If we come back 50% though of this swing, that would be back to these moving averages on the 4 hour at 55. So I would say look for Litecoin US dollar to hold 56, 55 or 56, and then start another leg higher, and then see on that 5th wave if we can then break through the 200 moving average. If we don't, now we might not stop here. Sometimes the third waves are 2.618 of the first of the, sometimes they're 2.618. So we might just keep going here. We might just get up to 64, get above that 200-day moving average. That would be very nice. And then we would see a pullback from there. And then a retest of the 200 moving average would be a really nice long entry. So that's what I'm looking for in Litecoin. It's not quite outperforming but this Bitcoin this time. We're not quite out of trouble in this one yet. But in terms of counts and targets, I think it looks really good. So that's the first target when you reverse at an 886 fib. The second target is the 236 fib from the same sequence. So that would be all the way up here at 116 for Litecoin US dollar for our second target if we get above this 200 moving average. Hello, yes, I'll look at Matic at the end, and I will look at a couple more. Don't worry, we'll do whatever we can. We're just going to look at Bitcoin Cashes next. Now, Bitcoin Cash SV has, for my money, and if we go to the daily, has already had its big breakout move. Now, I think, and I'm hoping, you know, if we look at this low here, what was this low? I just want to see which was the lowest of these. 77 even, and this low here, 77 even, double bottom. It's potentially that this is a wave 1, 2, 3, and we're looking at a wave 4, and then we're going to see a fifth wave higher in this one, because this is an equal low. We're looking at this against US dollar. We'll look at it against Bitcoin in a minute. But it's also potential that this was our big wave 1 and the next leg is going to absolutely fly. I don't know, but I feel like we've had this big move in Bitcoin Cash SV. It's kind of caught up a bit, and we haven't had the big move yet in Bitcoin Cash ABC on the same scale really from this break. So I feel like we're about to see Bitcoin Cash US dollar outperform Bitcoin Cash SV for a little bit. I feel like we're due. Here it is on the US dollar chart, and you can see it is outperforming at the moment. And I think, you know, if you wanted to diversify some, that's what I'd be looking for. What do I use? The double curve. Oh, it's an accident. I must have put it there. It's not. I don't use it. I need to take it off. And I don't even know where it is. I don't know how. Oh, there it is. There. Take it off. There we go. It shouldn't be in my favorites. So again, daily chart here. We're above the 200 moving average in Bitcoin Cash, US dollar. I think that this nice consolidation is breaking higher. We should see new highs. I use the CCI. This tells me the difference, the distance I am from the 14 moving average. And in this case, I think we have a lot of room to head to the upside. We don't get overbought in this until we get up towards sort of 200, and we are still down around 35.45. So I'm looking for a retest in Bitcoin Cash of this 236 fib level at 491. And if we can get above 491, I'm looking for 749 next in Bitcoin Cash ABC. And I think we're now with all of these, which any altcoin that you look at, whether you look at it in US dollar, if you look at it in US dollar and you see a nice setup, I really do think it's worth always looking at in the uptrend against Bitcoin, and make sure that we are in fact going higher against Bitcoin, because if we're not, you know, in this one, clearly we are in a really strong uptrend and we are outperforming Bitcoin. But if we weren't outperforming Bitcoin, then really there's no point in being in it. You want to be in the one that's going to perform the best and make you the most money. And you go out of Bitcoin when Bitcoin stalls into something that looks like it's set up to outperforming. That's how I see it. Now, if we have a pullback here, let's look at this big ABC correction we've done on a 4 hour. Put our fibs on here and see. I think we've stalled at we haven't quite reached that 786. So I think we've got more room to keep going to the upside. I don't see us stopping right here in Bitcoin Cash either. So I don't know the story with Bitcoin Gold and the hacking. To be honest, Bitcoin Gold isn't one of those charts that I particularly follow, to be honest. So, though I really like this long setup and in BSV, I really like how we're holding above these previous highs. This is really a bullish flag in BSV. I do think that we are seeing a period where BCH might outperform. Now, what would tell us this consolidation is over? Let's look at the 4 hour here and how we're going sideways. Very often when you stall in a correction, the 50% becomes kind of your bull bear line, if you like. So if we were just going to make an ABC correction here of 2 equal measured moves, that 50% level would be where we get stuck, 343.5. So if we're going to do some more consolidation while these moving averages catch up and we're not ready to go yet, that's where I would be watching BSV to see if we get in any trouble. 343.5 against US dollar tether. But above there, I think that we can set targets for the moon. And actually, I'm looking for about 560 next in this one, which on the daily is this 2.618 level, 550. So there we go. Looking for 370, and above 370 I'm looking for 550 in BSV. But if we're just gonna again go sideways for a bit, 343.5 is where we're going to get stuck. Or if everything else kind of sells off. Hello Eric, hello Connor, hi everybody. Okay, Dash is one of the ones that I've got Dash Bitcoin here, mainly because you want to know, are you outperforming Bitcoin? Yeah, we really are outperforming Bitcoin. Now, for the last 5 wave swing low, this is where I've got my fibs on here, and you can see that we blew through the 236 fib, but it was support, and we did a messy 38.2. So far so good. But the problem with this, my problem here is, it feels like after a big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rally, that we have only done one swing lower of correction. So A, so I'm looking for a B and then a C leg in Dash Bitcoin. Now, that just means that Bitcoin is going to outperform for a bit. If we put it against the US dollar, or we look at US dollar tether, then we can see that Dash is absolutely in a really nice uptrend. And although, you know, we're going sideways at new all-time highs in Dash US dollar, and we're looking really good for more upside. Let me put one more different, here we go, a bit more history. It's only new all-time highs for this year. Here we are in one of those 618, 38.2 golden ratio zones. So we've reversed at the 61.8, the 38.2 was support. Just like Bitcoin, we've crossed above this 50% level in the middle. As long as we hold above 113 in Dash, and we can buy against it on a retest, we should be looking for 131, back to the top of this sideways range, and next leg higher, hopefully, which will take us from 131 to 157, and then onwards, hopefully. That would tell us this correction is over. If we drop back below this 50% level in Dash US dollar, then I'm afraid all we would have done here is a false break. And all we would have done here is that ABC we just talked about, and another leg lower to come. So if I measure it, you can see what I mean here. So if I was in Dash, so just like Bitcoin up against resistance, if I was in Dash here, I would be keeping hold of my profits at this point, because a reversal here after an ABC, if this was our first leg, we potentially could see another leg lower to 73.97 before we go up again. So that's Dash. Watch out, we do need to push through and beyond this measured mu level to keep going higher, or we need to not drop back below 113. Okay, so ADA's had a lovely breakout today. Let's take a look at ADA. For what seems like ages, this is ADA US dollar we're gonna look at, and then we'll look at ADA Bitcoin. Okay, for what seems like ages, we've been stuck underneath this level. We wanted this to be an 886 reversal, but we went beyond it. When you do that, you kind of tend to see inverted head and shoulders patterns, which is what we did on a kind of small scale down here. We had a shoulder, a head, and up we went. Now we're back at the top of the range, and we've really struggled in ADA for at least 10 days to get out of this sideways range and back above the 786 fib. Remember, when you reverse at an 886, the 786 validates your breakout and reversal. And here in ADA, we've gotten above it. We've gotten above the 200 moving average. And so this level now becomes our support if we're going to keep going higher, and we're going to do that trade between the 786 and the 50%. So our target is 0.07170. Okay. And our support is 0.04594. So let's go down now when we look at it. If we stall here, or if everything stalls here, which it could do, these previous highs are where we would be looking to buy back for a buyer pullback and carry on higher. So if we're climbing back up the fib staircase in between our target level, and there is these previous lows and a 61.8 fib, so I'm going to say 0.061 would be kind of interim in between. But oops, this is a really nice breakout today in ADA against the US dollar. So our only question now is, are we actually breaking out against Bitcoin and going up against Bitcoin as well? Because that's what makes it a really cool buy. So let's take a look. Because I'll take our Heiken-Ashi beer goggles off. And, you know, we're nearly, here's the fib level, resistance level. But these previous highs, I'm going to say, we're not quite. We're really close. And because we're really close, I would say watch the pullback in the US dollar. Sorry, turn my alarm off. Watch the pullback. So, you know, now if we're going to keep going higher, look, we rally, pull back 50%, carry on. If we're going to hold up, we're going to pull back 50% and carry on if we're going to keep trending higher. If we don't and we drop more back further than that and we come back to this hourly 200 moving average and drop down here, that would be a false breakout for ADA. So in terms of US dollar, I think it looks good. In terms of Bitcoin, I think, you know, we're at least holding our own. It had a try at outperforming Bitcoin. So if you like ADA, you know, ADA Bitcoin, we're trading above the 200 moving average. We really are all set to break out of this range if we can. So let's see if we can. More information tomorrow, I think. I've got my eye on that one. So that's ADA. And then finally EOS. And then we'll have lots of time to look at all the requests for everybody. And again, the reason is it really feels like only the big coins are outperforming Bitcoin at the moment. And so we need for the love to spread out a bit. I have got my eye on basic attention token. I think that's one that's looking set. Now, EOS. First of all, EOS Bitcoin. We had this, whenever your moving averages go flat. So I like to look at a 20 and a 50. And here we went flat in a sideways range basically from last September in EOS. Now we could have said this was a triangle, the top, but the message is anyway, we were in a sideways range. And when you're in a sideways range, to get a trend move, you really need to break out of the sideways range. So this was a big deal when we broke out here. I'm going to put regular candles on, and we came back and we've retested it and we found some support from this level. Bullish flag, we're breaking higher. Key thing now is just new highs, but this looks, I think, all set to follow on. But if we're going to fail, if this was just a bigger correction, which can happen, then it's going to look like this. So that's why the new highs become really important. If we get down to a 4 hour, I think we've finished an ABC correction, you know, but whenever you're in a sideways range, as you get to the top, you'll always see profit taking. So people will be looking at this, people who are bearish, everything, and this is where they'll be lightening up a little bit. So if you haven't got any EOS, where are you going to buy it? Well, you're either going to buy it when it comes back to the bottom of this range again and holds. This would be a nice place to buy. We know there's buyers here. Or we'll wait for it to break out and then we'll buy the retest like this. Or we buy it as it breaks out, you know. Either of those would work. But for me, EOS, having broken out of that sideways range and trading above the 200 moving average is trending higher now. And we should be buying pullbacks. So let's talk about where our targets are. Well, let's go to the weekly. Again, this is another one of those 886 fib retrace levels. So many of our altcoins did that. They rallied all the way up and they came all the way back to an 886 deep pullback. So we're going to look in EOS for us to go back now to this 786 fib level. That's our first target, 5850. And if we can get above 5850 in this weekly 50 moving average, we get our big target, don't we, of the 50% at 12,600 in EOS Bitcoin. So that's that. In between there, of course, we've got this pretty nasty level here or around here, which I think could give us some trouble when we come back to it. It's either this low or this low. If I look at this low, this is a little bit troublesome as well, but somewhere in the middle, obviously we're not going to rally this the whole way in a straight line. So around 5,000, I'm going to say EOS Bitcoin, 4,900, 5,000. We may see a bit of a pullback before that's the next short-term target, but long-term target, I would have 58.50 in EOS. And it's definitely outperforming Bitcoin. So let's put EOS US dollar or EOS Tether on. In fact, we'll do EOS dollar. Now, EOS dollar looks amazing, doesn't it? Back at the highs here. So not quite out of trouble, are we? And I keep messing this up. There we go. Not quite out of trouble till we make new highs. But this 236 fib I've measured from this high to this low says that we should go to the 38.2 next. And just like the other EOS, if we go down here and we put our fibs the other way around, let's take that away for now for a second. You can see this was an 886 fib reversal, but what's cool about this is we're trading above the 786. So our target now is up here at 5.1 in EOS US dollar. So we might hit some bumps on the way. We might not be confirmed in a nice trading pattern set up for me yet. But for EOS dollar, we're on our way to 5.1 next. So looking good. We've got a 61.8 fib in the middle that we need to draw in. It's a little bit higher here. So again, we might see a little bit of a setback at 4.26, but this would be my first target based on these fib levels and reversals. When you go at a 786, you normally go back to the 38.2. That's our first target. Then, what if this is just a big ABC correction? I'm going to measure from this low. So I'm measuring from this low to this high, and I'm projecting it from here. If we go 61.8 of this first leg, we're going to come to 6.45. If we go to an equal measured move, we go 9.1. I will look at Ripple. So feeling bullish, EOS dollar, but not quite. Just like Bitcoin at the 200-day, back at these previous highs is a little bit worrying here in EOS. And we really kind of need to push beyond them. And if everybody gets nervous, we could see some profit taken here that will bring us back a bit. So, or we might just do one of those sideways range things for a bit. Okay. So let's look at some other coins. Duarte would like to look at Link. We'll start with that one because Link's kind of one of my favorite ones too. And I'm a little bit conflicted about Link. You know, when I look at it, I'm feeling bullish. So if I look at Link Bitcoin, there's no doubt about it. You know, each time we pull back to the 200 moving average, we have a really nice rally, and we've done it again. And we've pulled back, 50% and bounced really nicely. But I feel like we're flagging a bit, And what I'm also a little bit concerned about in Link, and let's look at it on a 4-hour chart, is this rally that we've had here is one of those kind of, looks a little bit like an ABC. And not only that, if we were super bullish, it's gone to 1272 of this first one. But what if this is ABC? This is one of those irregular corrections, and I put it here. Okay, so we have A, and then we've gone A, B, C, and then C. Then we've got this double top kind of equal measured move. And so that makes me think that we could see a bigger correction on the downside here. We keep making these ABC moves. If I look lower from here, this was pretty nice. This was pretty nice as a bullish ABC, but we've really struggled, to rally from there. In fact, what we've done is another little ABC here. And so if we roll lower here, I'm thinking maybe this is not a bullish flag. I'm going to leave it marked as a moment, but maybe this is not a bullish flag, and you know, maybe we're still in that corrective mode against Bitcoin. So that's okay, you know, shit happens, but let's put in the 61.8. Because we're messing around a 61.8 here. Okay, so these fibs come from here to here. So we went all the way up to the 886. We came back to the 50%, bounced, did another leg lower. Okay, and now we're in that golden ratio zone where you can get stuck for a bit. So we might go sideways for a bit, link against Bitcoin. Not particularly going to outperform Bitcoin, but there we go. But let's take a look at link US dollar. Because, you know, if it's just sideways against Bitcoin and it's going up really well against the dollar, why not, right? So let's take a look. We'll look at our daily chart. And I'm going to say, I think, so here's our little newly minted 200 moving average, and we're above it. So happy days on that one. And if I look at the fibs from this big high to low here in Coinbase, you know, this 236, when we came back to it, this is support and resistance. This 38.2 was support and resistance. So I'm going to say, you know, we're probably headed back to 2.83. And then if we get above that, we're going to go to the big 50 at 3.27. Let's take a look and see if we've got anything with more history. Let's see. No, in fact we don't. So that we're going to stick with these Coinbase levels. And one of the reasons I'm sticking with them is because they've worked so well before, you know, when we've tested them. I'm going to stick with them. So look for 2.83 next on the upside, and then 3.27, but that's a way away. Let's look short term. Short term, this is not looking as bad as it is against Bitcoin. In fact, it looks really good. We've gone beyond 50%. This is not an ABC. It's better than that. And so, yeah, let's see what happens now when we retest this double top level at 2.839. That's where I think next for Link. It's just when I look at it against Bitcoin, I'm not sure this is the best alt for a rocket move. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take a look at Atom. Okay, and I'm going to take a look at Atom and Matic, and I can't remember what, and Doge. I can't remember what people asked for, so hopefully the Daleks. Oh, here we go. Matic. Hi, and Connor. I was wondering what Connor was wanting. Here we go. So Matic. So this is a good lesson in taking profits in Matic, wasn't it? A really good lesson. Now I got these fibs going this way, but what if we did the fibs this way? Like this. This was an 886. So remember 886, 236, all the way down it went. What a horrible move. I'm going to take that away now because I think it's a little bit confusing, and what we should really be doing is just this swing. So we stalled at the 886 fib level in Matic. Now we're looking to see if we can get out of this sideways range and make a run higher. We've got these highs. This is our, when we peek in, let's see if this lines up with a fib level from this high and where our 236 fib level is. Because really we want to hold above that. There, we can't close above it. There's our 236 fib level. So that's what we need to close above if we're going to get out of this sideways range in Matic against Tether. 0.01868. And then we'll climb the fib levels like that. Or the only thing I would say is let's put these projections on here, and we'll do them projections from this one as well. Okay, if this was our first leg and this is the pullback, then the second leg is only going to get to that 113 level. So if we fly, I would look to take profit at 46.78. but we need to go beyond 50% of this nasty drop. The real trouble level will be this 50% level in the middle, and that comes in at 26.98 in Matic Tether. Let's take a look at Matic Bitcoin. So we know Matic Tether levels. Let's take a look at Matic Bitcoin to see what we want to see for it to be outperforming. Again, we've got this sideways range going on. I'm looking at fib retraces. This is a 786 fib we're holding. So the rules are slightly different. The 61.8 confirms our reversal, and then we're looking for a 38.2 target, which would be up here first. And then beyond that, new leg higher. Dead flat moving averages, and this is a sideways range. So this 268 is where we would look for if we can break to the upside. At the moment, we're not doing anything. We're just going sideways. And that's fine, because if you're holding some Matic and we're just going sideways and Bitcoin is going up, then the value of your Matic is going up. If you wanted to get out of Bitcoin and buy some Matic, though, you really do want to see this outperforming. And at the moment, it's kind of not. So I don't see any benefit in switching over at the moment. I don't see any harm in being in Matic. I'd quite like to see it. If we rally here, it'd be quite a nice pullback, you know, head and shoulders pattern, continuation head and shoulders pattern. Not everyone likes them. Peter Brandt likes them. I've seen them work. I much prefer fib patterns though. So I'm going to say let's flip project from here, and let's put some big ones and make sure I've done it right. Not that one, that one. Line it up properly. So if we were to make a little back pattern here, so the 886 fib of this high to this low and the 2.618 of this pullback, if we could rally from here, that would confirm the target at 270. So I think there's a good chance that we can rally from here, and I do really like that target, and we'll see what happens there. Matic against Bitcoin. So going up against the dollar with everything, you know, high tide floats all the boats, and that's what we're seeing in crypto at the moment. But some resistance levels, the Bitcoin 200 moving average. Okay, so let's take a look at Atom, which is here, little Atom. I'm a little bit bearish this one. Now, this has had a lovely rally. Let's not kid ourselves. It's had a lovely rally. I'm not quite sure that I trust the Binance fib levels, so I'm going to just maybe see what this latest swing says here. I think it's going to do. So we've had a really nice rally. We've hit the 61.8 of the most recent swing lower, and this 50% level here in the middle. Whenever you reverse it to 61.8, the 50% becomes like a pivot, remember? And your target, if you break it, is the 38.2. So this is what I think we're doing here. And this bearish cross of our daily moving averages against Bitcoin makes me think we're going to go ABC. If I measure the swings here in Atom against Bitcoin, you can see that equal measured move lines up with our 38.2. So if you're going to look for where can I buy Atom again, you're going to look around 4,400, and that's where I'd be looking. So 4,400 if we get underneath and hold underneath this 5179 level. What do I mean by hold underneath? We've got the level marked. If I look at it on an hourly here, okay, you can see that we got underneath and bounced, okay? And each time we've gone underneath deep, we've gone straight back up again. But if I saw this, so we get underneath and then it becomes resistance, lets me out, okay? If we get underneath, I want to see it go straight back up again. There. Otherwise, I think that we've got that next leg lower coming. Okay? So, Atom, I'm not sure that against Bitcoin the correction is complete. That doesn't mean that Atom US dollar won't go up. I just don't think it's, if you're not in it yet, I just don't think you should be spending your Bitcoin on it. Now, this is one of those, here's the Atom US dollar at Kraken. You can see we're in a really nice slow uptrend, riding the moving averages very nicely. We haven't reached the 50% yet. You know, when we first rallied to the 236, it was a really big sell-off. Then we kind of washed through it. First time we came back to the 38.2, really big sell-off, double top. Okay, this 38.2 then, when we get back above it, we're looking for the 50% and we're going to expect a big sell-off there too. 5.43. So let's see then if we can get 4.601. So here's our line. It looks like we're just almost above it, doesn't it? I'm going to put my Heiken beer goggles on, and there we go. So almost Atom. So it'll, if you've got some, don't fret. It's going up in US dollar terms. If you're looking to buy some, hold on to your dollar, your Bitcoin for a bit longer. Okay. Okay. We're going to look now at Doge. Oh, Doge has been such a disappointment. It loves to go sideways though, doesn't it? Let's see some Doge. Yeah, we've got a little bit. Let's take a look at it on the weekly, because we've got a little bit of a fight here. There's so many swings here in this Doge that you could put your fibs on, but I feel like we're operating inside this big swing here. So I'm watching to see, and what I like is how we reacted at the other fib levels, and so that's why I'm keeping this swing on for now. But because I think this is maybe a big ABC, I could also put my fibs on this way. So from this high to low, like this. And that would be a good way, because if I take this away, you can see that the 236 fib target, if we could rally from here, is the 200 moving average, quite a good support and resistance level as well. So I'm going to say if we can get going, then 44 would be where I'd be looking for. So let's take that away. In fact, let's go back to the other fibs that we were relying on, because we actually, 44 it would be the 200 moving average looking at that way, but in terms of fib patterns, this would count for me as an 886 fib, and I would look for a minimum here as 64. So that would be my second target, 200 moving average and then 64, if we can hold this 26 level. And we've been sitting here for 4 weeks on it, haven't we? So it's nothing is happening fast in Doge. Am I bearish? No, I'm not bearish. I'm not bullish. Look, when we're going sideways against Bitcoin and you're holding your own against Bitcoin and Bitcoin is going up, the value of your Doge is going up. So if we look at this against the US dollar, you can see we're going up. We've got a really nice long entry. We're holding the moving averages. We're trying to get above the 200. Everything is good. It's just when you look at that Bitcoin chart, if you don't have any Doge, you probably wouldn't sell your Doge to buy it yet, would you? So, yet. So, there we go. I think you're doing all right if you've got some, but I wouldn't fall over myself to buy it unless. Now, where would I look for here? This 236 fib level and this 200 moving average. So, above 256,237, I would be looking for 303,500 next, if not 341,000. So that's our bull bear line in Doge against the dollar. So it is going up. I just, doesn't say buy me. Okay, I am going to look at Ripple. Because it's quite an interesting chart. Okay, it is quite an interesting chart. So here in ADA, where we see our breaking out of a sideways range and trying to break above previous swing lows, in Ripple, we've got this resistance that we can't get above. So this is a weekly chart of Ripple. We're going to start with a big view. See how this weekly 20 moving average was quite important? It certainly was important in October and in September when we tried to rally in Ripple. That's what knocked us back. And that's where we are underneath right now. And it's also these previous lows from 2018, this level has got us held down and the 20 moving average. So that we're going to say 0.2 0.25, really, it is 0.25, is our tricky level. Let's see what that low was. 0.2465, it's actually a little bit lower, 0.24653. Okay, so that's our 0.24653. And when we zoom out here on the daily, we can see how important this level is. Support, support, get underneath it, becomes resistance, but we don't drop. Had we dropped here, we would have been in trouble. And, you know, again, this is what we've got to beat. So I love the bullish cross of the daily moving averages counter trend. I think we should see a return to the 200 moving average. But this 24653 level is the key, I think. So if we put fibs on from, we'll just take the most recent swing and see where our 236 fib is, because it's just above it, isn't it? So not only have we got to overcome this level, but we've got to overcome this 236 fib as well, and the 200 moving average. So in this zone, it's really now not just a level, it's a zone, isn't it? We've got a bunch of resistance that Ripple dollar has to work through to be going higher. So is it going up at the moment? Yes. Does it look like a bottoming pattern? Yes. But our first target then, so if you're buying this flag, and it is, you know, a nice little 4-hour ABC pullback here in Ripple, just like everything across the board in crypto, we're seeing the same thing, aren't we? ABC and trying to rally higher again, broken out of this channel, on our way up. But so if you're long Ripple or if you're buying Ripple here, just have keep an eye on this zone and make sure we get through it. And if we don't, get out of the way. Okay, one more way to look at Ripple and dollar, I would say. I don't think it is. It's gone beyond an 886 fib, so it's not. But I think when I put it on, that 886 fib was around there anyway. But we'll leave it with the 200 moving average. That should be your first target. So that's Ripple dollar. Does look set to rally. Does look set. But why? Got to say, why would I buy it if it's not going up against Bitcoin? I might as well be in again Bitcoin. And when we look at this, okay. How do I tidy this up? Okay. So big picture, I'm going to start on the weekly or monthly. Big picture in Ripple Bitcoin. This is a big 886 fib level. So from the all-time low to high here, this is the 886 fib level that we're trying to hold. And so we're sitting right on it. You know, we've been underneath it and recovered it again. But this is kind of really what we need to recover. And then if we can, obviously, we're going to look higher. At the moment, though, it's just not happening. We're really struggling to get above these daily moving averages. We can't. This daily 50 is the trickiest one of all. So we're just sideways with Bitcoin. Now, that's obviously, we know that from looking at the US dollar chart. That's not the end of the world because Bitcoin is going up. So Ripple is going up. But it certainly doesn't make me want to buy it yet until we break out of this, unfortunately. And I'd be watching these lows quite carefully because we're pretty close. We're pretty close to a breakdown here. And I would just switch back to Bitcoin, you know, no big deal. Buy it later when it's stopped going down and switch back again. So that's Ripple. Okay. 9K. Let's see. Okay. The thing is with these big fib levels, and I got to say this, okay, this morning's open was a good lesson. You know, the market, look at what we've done before. The market loves to have a look above these big fibs and then drop back. So, you know, the close, which is, you know, we've got another 3 hours till the close. I really do think that we're going to go out. There are so many people shorting it. So many people want to know where to short, how to short. I want to short it. Yeah. We're not completely out of it. We need new highs, but looking pretty good. So if we're crunching our way through fib levels, let's put it this way. 786. Okay. Here's like a little rule that I use, okay, and this is quite good for if you're kind of holding on, okay. From this low to the high, I put the fibs on like this. It's not really respecting them, which is a bit, but anyway. If we reverse here or we go back below this 61.8 level, that would be quite nasty because I know a reversal at a 786 will come back at least to the 38.2, which would be down here in this swing low. So I don't want to stay in for that, so I get out. And I do that as it moves up. So then if we get up to the 886 fib, okay, I will mark here. If we drop underneath this, so I will get out. I don't want to, you know, I'll wait for the bigger correction then. So I use it that way. Another simple way, okay, and this does work, is to put your fib on the low and keep moving it up as the price moves up, okay? So if we do that here, okay, as soon as we drop underneath a 236 fib, we're in a bigger correction, okay? That's what we say to ourselves. So here, I move it up, 236 fib is there, that's fine. Here, sharp sell-off this morning, didn't break the 236 fib. In fact, that's where we found support and carried on, and I do it that way, and that works in other moves as well. So let's look here. Okay, so from this first rally here, as soon as we get under the 236 fib, which we did from this low to high, I'm looking for 50%, and in this case 50% is exactly where we got here. In fact, when we got here, 50% is where we came, and so I keep moving it up, move it up, that's fine. As long as we stand above this 236 fib, I'm still good. Here we get up here, 236 was support, 236 was support, carry on, move it up, 236 doesn't get touched, and then once we get up here, as soon as we're underneath this, bigger correction and out of the way. And I kind of use it that way as well. So anyway, might Ripple be a good short-term short? Ripple might be a good short-term short. Here's the thing though with these cryptos. They, you know, I really worry when they get down here, because I see them like penny stocks, and I would never short a penny stock. Why? Okay, because my downside is limited, because at some point it's going to get so low that the company or whatever they are going to go bankrupt, and then nobody's going to get their money. Now, Ripple, I know, is backed by a really big company and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, are they going to bail you out at some point, you know, with these, especially shit coins? I don't mind shorting Bitcoin, but with the shit coins, there really is an issue that it may be everybody's selling it because there's really a problem, or maybe it's really a scam, or maybe it's really been hacked. You know, all of these things can happen. Okay, and the insiders know and we don't know. And so, you know, shorting it, our downside is limited because at some point we'll hit zero and then it's all over. Whereas if it goes against you and it takes off, and you have no idea how many times I've seen people do this, they'll short something and it takes off, their stop doesn't get filled, or worse still, they didn't have a stop, and then it goes so far they can't afford to get it off. And you know, when it's going up, especially, look at what Ripple can do on the upside. There is no limit. Like, it can absolutely take off. So I would just leave it. You know, I have no problem at all shorting FX, shorting oil, shorting big stocks, shorting, you know. But when you short something that's a scam, if you're the last, it's like playing pass the parcel. If you're the last one, you're not a winner. You're just going to have an empty parcel of nothing because nobody will buy it from you. So I'm not a fan of shorting shit coins unless you get out fast, okay? That's all I'll say. And people ask me, why don't I short? Well, I will short. I short the big ones. I'll short Litecoin. I'll short Bitcoin. I'll short Ethereum, some of them. But, you know, you just got to be careful with some of them. Okay, so I will do an update and we'll post it. We'll look tomorrow morning. But I'm feeling really positive about it all. I really am. So, you know, I'm not saying it can't come all the way back, but as long as we stay above this 8,500 level in Bitcoin, I'm feeling quite positive for 10,000 first. Now, which is going to come first, 8,500 or 10,000? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure we'll see 10,000. Short Jihan Wuhan. Yeah. You know, it's risky. I just want to say what the risks are. Okay, good night, everyone. Thanks very much for coming. I'll post updates on Twitter, and if not, I'll see you next week. Watch out for profit taking at 10,000. When I get there, what's my trading plan? Okay, I'm not going to take it all off, okay? First off, I might sell a third of my position or half of my position at 10,000. And then I'm going to wait and see what happens. Because if we overshoot it and then hold above it, I'm going to buy my position back. For the rest of it, I'm going to wait and see if we get a proper reversal. We might get up there and we might just get, you know, a little sideways and everybody's going, oh, what next, you know? And we might just do a bit of this and everybody's going, sell it, sell it. Like if everybody's super bearish, you don't want to be selling it with everyone else. You're going to hang on and see if we can pop up higher, aren't you? And then if it does, buy it again. So, you know, the problem is once we get to 10,000 on every single time frame, we're going to be in a solid uptrend. So will it be a big level? Yeah, clearly it is, but you know, so I'll take some profit, but then I'm going to wait and see with the rest. Obviously, if it spikes up there. Now, whenever you see a big spike, it's always good to take a little profit off a big spike. So if we grind up there, grinding the shorts out, I would say fine, hang on. But if we see a nasty spike up to 10,000, I would definitely take some profit there. Anytime a market spikes, it's good to take some profit. Okay, bye everyone. See you next week.